Hello and welcome to Under Common Taste. This is a podcast where we create and discuss homebrew content for tabletop RPGs.
My world is fire and blood.
Oh boy.
I'm Ian Woodworth. I'm joined by my co-host James Daly, and today we have special guest with us, Rene from the Rene Plays Games podcast. Hey, Rene.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, welcome to Under Common Taste. So, Rene and I met about a month ago. We were both players in Clark Rowinson's, ended up being 3-Shot, his promotion for his lit RPG book that came out. We were both players in that game, and I've been listening to your podcast for a while now, and I'm almost caught up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just finished episode 2 of Colossus.
Oh, yeah, Colossal. Yeah.
Colossal.
Yeah, I have a soft spot for kind of like cozy games, if you
Nice, okay.
That is true.
but-
Cozy Games and Ironsworn.
Yeah, right. Which most people play a lot more intense than I think I do. But yeah, hopefully I'm a good source of Ironsworn
Nice.
actual play.
Yeah, I've had a few chats with Clark regarding his game of Ironsworn, and the way that he describes how his playthrough is going does sound a bit more vicious
Yeah.
than what you come up with.
It can and should be probably, especially like OG Ironsworn. When I first played Ironsworn, I remember it was my like first solo experience, and I remember being like, "Oh, I think I'm really bad at this because I just like died." It's like 40 minutes into making my first character, and then I think that the me takes over, the kind of like I'm gonna pull my punches on myself a little bit. But I also love watching and hearing people's Ironsworn actual plays or play reports where it's like, "Oh, these people do not pull their punches," and like. This game is great for that kind of stuff too.
See, I need to find this now. This is, yeah.
It can be pretty punishing if you let yourself roll with those pay the prices and stuff for sure.
See,
I think that Ironsworn would be right up your alley, James, because you like games like Darkest Dungeon.
Yeah. Like when the games give you a warning, hey, you're going to lose your campaign. Losing is fun. It makes the game better. Play better next time. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm in. Like, challenge accepted.
So anyway, we got right into the conversation here, but Rainey, if you would please just give us a little bit of an introduction. Who are you? What do you do? What sort of nerd cred have you got?
Sure. So yeah, I'm Rainey. I am a member of a streaming crew called the DMs After Dark, but I kind of haven't been on that stream for quite a long time because the beginning of COVID, I had my first kid, and he made making a regularly scheduled stream difficult at a certain point. And also they play for like 4-hour sessions, and the exhaustion in me of a toddler parent was like, oh yeah, no, I can't hang that long anymore. So I started the, no pun intended, because I am redheaded step podcast, the Rene Plays Games podcast, where I primarily do solo actual plays, but I do interviews with creators and folks from the TTRPG community and random ramblings and musings about how to run better games, get inspiration from media or game design stuff.
Yeah, Ian would know nothing about the challenges of having a young child and
not at
scheduling
all.
a podcast.
Yeah,
Not at all.
In the emails that we sent back and forth, Ian and I, we joked about scheduling is not the BBEG of podcasts and or TTRPGs, but kids certainly are a good minion of that BBEG. I'll tell you that.
Very fair.
Absolutely, yes.
The best minions, of course.
All right, so the topic that we're planning on discussing tonight, and we will inevitably go down rabbit holes because they're there. But the main topic that we are planning on discussing tonight is post-apocalypse and post-catastrophe settings.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I asked you on to discuss that in particular, well, I asked you on because I just wanted to have a chat. But
yeah,
this particular topic, because you have mentioned a couple of times on your podcast that you and your friend Christian are writing a post-catastrophe game.
Yes. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have opened with I like cozy games and then be like, oh yeah, but I'm also writing like an incredibly heavy topic game. But
you could do that though, like a post-apocalyptic like Stardew would be actually kind of cool.
I mean, that's certainly a part of having to rebuild, right? Like there are going to be the people whose everyday job is just going to be homesteading to have food on the table. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
You don't have to be one of the crazy PCs that you make that go out into what we call the rust and fight and scavenge and scrap for every little thing you need. But I don't think making a character who's like that, I just garden all day, is isn't necessarily the more exciting at a table.
Yeah, that is definitely a solo journaling game
Yeah.
offshoot of that setting.
You know what? I kind of like it. I kind of like that idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to pencil that in. But yeah, my friend Christian and I, again, probably surprising no one, beginning of COVID, the world shut down, and the two of us are big time forever GMs, TTRPG nerds, have like big collections of RPGs we never played. And that's why we started the DMs After Dark, played a lot of different games, and the play games to stream games to podcast about games to create games pipeline is real. Okay.
It really is.
Yeah.
So yeah, we started working on it, and it's one of those things that I'm a wetland biologist by trade. So I'm always out in the woods. I'm pretty much paid to hike. It's great. I love it. But I'm out in nature a lot more than a lot of people. And when COVID hit, I was still outside all the time, but it was even weirder because like no one was outside. It was like I was walking around an empty world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I went down, like we said, rabbit holes. I went down some rabbit holes about bushcraft and survival and off-grid living and stuff like that. And yeah, it just inspired me to think about, I gamify everything. I watch a TV show, I make a podcast episode about, oh, you could steal stuff from this. Like,
Yeah,
so,
you totally should. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. So yeah, we decided we had to make this game. I guess I should probably, to give you the quick pitch, is like, imagine tomorrow or tonight, the power went out. How long before you realize it's not coming back and you have to take action?
Ooh.
What do you do? Do you have a plan? Do you know what to do? And then basically it's just fast forward 6 months. You've survived, and we are not going to talk about the awful, unspeakable things that you've experienced in those 6 months while everyone around you starved or was killed for the little things they had or anything like that. But you survived.
Okay.
And now you're part of a small community who's trying to rebuild a semblance of comfort. That's when you start playing the game.
So I love this. And so before we clicked the record button, we were talking about various media and books and stuff like that. And I think MGM did a series, I think it was earlier this year or late last year, and I don't know how well they did it, but there's a book from the 50s called Earth Abides.
See, I haven't read it yet, but it's odd. I gotta have to skyrocket it up my TBR now.
It's amazing, especially when you read it in the mindset that this was written in the 50s. It's very forward thinking. It's actually considered the first quote like disaster story. But yeah, that's kind of how that concept you've built up is very familiar to that. So again, Ishmael, he was a field biologist. He was a student for UC Berkeley, and he was doing some schoolwork, working on his doctorate, and he winds up getting bit by a rattlesnake and finding a cabin and kind of like hunkering down and trying to sleep off the rattlesnake poison because it almost levels him. Doesn't quite level him, but gets right there. And while he's down, this plague just kind of rips through humanity. And so when he recovers, there is nothing left but the husk of civilization. And so he's going through trying to find things. He's finding people here and there and trying to like seeing if they'll kind of cobble an existence with them or not. It goes through a lot of different things. And I picked up this book because I remember when I was in high school, my dad was telling me that was one of his favorite books before he joined the military. So of course I had to read it. And it is so well written that like parts of this book stick with me to this day. It is just amazingly well done.
That sounds awesome. And actually something you said, it's a big factor of like something that I want out of this game, because nothing is new. There's no original idea under the sun anymore. One of the, not to not to step on your toes of the outline, but one of the questions is this: why post-catastrophe and not post-apocalypse? And to me, that's the big thing, right? Is like, I think if you say post-apocalypse to someone, their first thought is like, oh, okay, like zombies, right? Like Walking Dead, like The Last of Us, or like, oh, like nuclear fallout, like the Fallout games.
Yeah.
And for some reason, people can't conceive of a post-apocalypse without some kind of like unnatural event. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Right, yeah. And that is one complaint that I have about a lot of people's perception of post-apocalypse, because a lot of people conflate post-apocalypse with apocalypse. Like,
Mhm.
they're not envisioning a post-apocalyptic setting, they're envisioning an apocalyptic setting. In
Yeah.
a post-apocalyptic setting, the apocalypse has already happened. It's done. It's over. You're rebuilding now.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
there's a lot of bleed between those in public perception. And so there's a lot of, the Fallout games, I can see those being properly post-apocalyptic because it's been 200 years.
Yep.
There is some semblance of civilization and society re-emerging, and you have your enclaves of people, but you do still have a lot of, with the raiders and what have you, you have a lot of these factions of every man for themselves. And so it is still that sort of blended apocalypse, post-apocalypse, but you get a lot of things like The Walking Dead. That's an apocalypse show. That's not a post-apocalypse show.
Yeah, the event is currently happening.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. And part of the reason I wanted to avoid the word apocalypse is because the only constant for the game as we're designing it right now is that it's a grid down event, right?
Okay.
Again, we did our homework looking into this kind of thing. My brother-in-law used to work for the Department of Energy
Okay.
in DC. There are 3 electrical grids in the entire United States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the East Coast. Texas has its own, which fails all the frickin' time. And then the West Coast.
Yeah.
Let's even pretend that it's not all 3. Let's just pretend just the East Coast power grid goes out. Where are you going? Right? And like, this isn't the end of the world. It's just the end of society as we know it. Right? Like,
Yeah.
I asked my brother-in-law, like, if this happened, if the Eastern power grid went down, like, realistically, how long before, like, FEMA and the government could get that back up and running? And he was like, oh, dude, the infrastructure is so outdated.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 months, before we have a chance of it getting back up. But in those 6 months, there's no way you are moving enough food to keep people alive, to keep
No.
workers going. Do you know what I mean? Like, it won't work. It won't happen. So, yeah, it's very bleak and dark, but at the same
Okay.
time, it's not the apocalypse. It's just a catastrophe that is going to change how we interact with everything around us.
Oh, so a random question, not completely random, but how old are you roughly? I mean, I generally don't like asking her, hey, exactly how old are
That's
you?
all right.
But how?
I am 37 years old.
Okay.
Yep.
So you're closest to I. So I grew up, I'm 43. I grew up in Central California, and I think it was 94 or 95. The Western grid did go down for about, I think it was 12 to 18 hours. And I was in Central California at the time, so it's the middle of summer. It's 100 plus degrees outside,
Oof.
and like in the 90s at night. And I recall that event, and like nobody knew what was going on, and we had, just a stretch where everything was down. And so 95, I was 12 or 13 at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and just a little kid. But I remember like we only had so much water in the fridge because the water taps didn't work because everything was down. And I
Yeah.
remember I was chugging water like crazy because 1, it was hot, and then 2, I was a bigger kid, and my parents were like, why are you hoarding all the water? And I was like, didn't realize at the time, but yeah, I mean, I was kind of, yeah, and it was just something that my brain just clicked into. Hey, I'm going to chug all this water while it's here, so it's what my body was telling me to do.
Yeah.
And that's really one of those things that people don't think of is once that stuff goes,
Where are you going to get it now?
yeah, where are you going to get it now? But too, in that kind of stressful event, your body kicks on like these primitive wirings that you don't realize is there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing stuff until you like stop and actually analyze, like, why am I doing this? Why am I gathering all this food and putting it in a corner? Why am I sitting there, hoarding things? Or why am I, secluding off to a corner and not talking to anybody? Why am I more social or less social? And it's really weird at these points of stress how your brain triggers these other things. Also along these lines, again, growing up, one of my old guilty pleasures was conspiracy radio. And a quote, a Carrington event. We've had some very significant solar flares, within this past year because we're near the peak of solar cycle. But one of the big things is, hey, a solar flare could come and just fry the grid. And that's something people have worried about for years. So
Yep. And 12 to 18 hours, it's not very long when you think about it in retrospect, but in the moment, and in the 90s when we didn't have the internet, we didn't have it wasn't cell phones in everybody's hands. There was no way of getting information to you. Even today, I mean, honestly, maybe even scarier today, if this happened, and all of a sudden nobody can get any news on their phone, nobody can get any, you know what I mean? Like the instant gratification, the instant information at our fingertips being gone in the snap of a finger would cause people to panic like crazy.
Absolutely.
And like I think it was a few years ago here in New England, we had a pretty bad snowstorm, and my house was out of power for 3 days. We had to throw out
Ew.
everything in our fridge. You know what I mean? Like it was crazy. 3 days. I had the wood stove going, and we were like burning through wood like crazy. And it was like, I thought to myself, like, okay, like how much longer before like I gotta just like call up a college roommate and be like, dude, I'm driving to Maine to come chill for a minute. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know what to do. So yeah, like those moments are really scary when you're like looking around going, I didn't plan well for this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Last year when Hurricane Helene came through, because we are at the northern end of the area that got hit really hard here in Appalachia by Hurricane Helene. So my parents were out of power for a week.
It's terrifying. It really is.
Yeah, but there were some places further south of us. There's a town about 45 minutes south of us called Irwin that nearly got wiped off the map.
Yeah, that Irwin got leveled.
Yeah, brand new hospital ended up under 15 feet of water. But, there were people in and around Irwin that didn't get power back, and people in and around like Asheville, North Carolina didn't get power back for 6 months because they had to rebuild all the roads to get out to them.
Oh, I remember seeing this actually. Yeah, the roads. Yeah.
Yeah, Asheville was an island for a while. Like, you couldn't get in or out.
Yeah, the only way in or out was by helicopter.
Not gonna lie, a flooded hospital is such a good TTRPG location for a bunch of people in this game to be we got to go there and see if we can find anything that people haven't gotten to yet. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. And then roll to see if it's actually like expired or spoiled once you get it.
Doesn't even matter, especially with medication. If it's past the expiration date, it's just less effective. Like you're still going to take it. You know what I mean? Depending on what it is, most likely. But yeah, it's crazy. And then it becomes like bartering stuff. Like, what if you run into another group there? Like, does it become hostile, or do you guys go, we'll split this? Are you cool? Like,
yeah,
gamifying this, it becomes a thing where I think it informs a lot about what you think about humanity.
It really does.
Yeah. As a designer, I have certain thoughts, but I've playtested this with some friends at work, and it's very funny to hear how they have approached this very differently. Very differently.
And I think gamifying stuff like this too kind of gets you maybe a little bit forward thinking. So like if something does happen, it's like, well, okay, I remember this and I know it was a game, but these were things that we had to consider versus completely just blank. I've never even considered this option before. What do I do?
And with your whole flooded hospital, getting into gamifying that and talking back about, because I've been working through your back catalog, and one episode that I just finished a couple episodes ago was when you were doing your one shot of, was it a Two-Hand Path?
Yep.
And I think that would be a perfect setting for a Two-Hand Path dungeon.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, I highly recommend. Sorry to talk about another game. That is kind of post-apocalyptic, though.
It is. And that's why I bring it up, is because it is an interesting, throwing magic into a post-apocalypse sort of approach to the storytelling there in the game.
Yeah, I loved the way those maps were drawn, and actually, it's a really easy way to show a similar thing. We've thought a lot about this in this game. Like, we don't imagine it running on like grid-based mini tactical combat kind of stuff. It's going to be like more theater of the mind, zone-based sort of stuff. But yeah, it's an interesting thing, right? Where like a lot of people coming into TTRPGs, like I understand why people are drawn to high fantasy and heroics and sci-fi and like speculative stuff. But I found that like there's not a lot of games that do the real world real well.
Yeah.
And, inviting people to start thinking about the world around them, like immediately around them in a different way. That's not only, like you said, forward thinking, like, oh man, if the S hit the fan tomorrow, like where can I go to get X, Y, and Z? But also like that building or like that complex over there would be really cool to explore,
Yeah.
if it was abandoned and beginning to be reclaimed by nature or whatever.
Do you watch those videos of the people that like sneak into Chernobyl and like go through like the apartments and stuff like that?
Oof. I've seen some urban exploration stuff, which I think is close. I don't know if I'd do it in a radioactive zone, but do your thing. That's awesome. Yeah, urban exploration actually is kind of how I'm trying to do the layout of this game, is like, stock photography of like abandoned places and stuff like that. Because again, it's just the real world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like in a way, if you let it, it could be even more engaging than this fantastical place. And again, we're playing in a post-catastrophe, so part of the session 0 invites the players and the GM to sit down and be like, grab a map of your state or your general region, right, that you want to play in, wreck stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I've joked about this. Like, for where I live, playing in New England, the states are so small, you'd probably play a game of this, like, in the entire New England region. But you could be like, everything about Boston is just gone. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'd think that there's a city with a ton of resources, but no, like, so much chaos happened, like, it just burned. Like, it's gone. You know what I mean?
That's like, if you've played original Fallout 1 or 2, I think in Fallout 1, they go through and you go to, quote, quote, the necropolis, and you get to basically what should be LA, and it's literally a crater. That's all that's left.
Like, by all means, do that, right? Like, in, again, the work group that I'm lucky enough to play games at my work during lunches, we've play tested a few sessions of this, and we all work in and around the state, you know, biologists and all these people who are like familiar with the entire state. And it was like, let's throw some stuff out there. And people were like, oh, like this area, like the dam broke, flooded this whole area. Okay. And someone else was like, oh, like all of the coastal, like, you know, where Taylor Swift lives down in West, like all those mansions. Some group absolutely went there because no one lives there all year round. And like, there's like a community just fully armed to the teeth defending mansions.
You know what I mean? Like, I could see that.
Just funny stuff that like you'd never think about, but it invites interesting opportunities to explore your own world a little differently.
Or something that would be interesting is what would happen, because, you know, as soon as there's any kind of disaster, especially like I'm thinking like Texas and again up in New England as well with some of the big storms, is that as soon as anything happens, they like bring everyone to the football stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got 40,000 people cramped into a football stadium and FEMA's not showing up. So now what happens?
Oh man, I hadn't even thought of that. That's.
I mean, that we saw that in New Orleans with the Superdome,
Katrina,
with, Hurricane Katrina, yeah.
And so I mean, you have the sea of humanity coming out from there, and then people are looking at things, and I'm thinking a lot of people with one of the hurricanes that hit Texas, you know, they were in one of the stadiums and they started going towards the mega churches saying, hey, these people should be, and they were locking down the mega churches because they were trying to protect, you know, their assets or whatever. And it was Joel Osteen, and so there's all of that too. But I mean, that's the exact scenario you're describing, I think. So
I think that was Hurricane Harvey.
Was it Harvey? Yeah.
And you know, that's a great example too, right? To bring this back to like the gamified version of this, factions, it's going to happen, right? Like the premise of this is you are part of a small community. And technically in the session 0, and as we're going to, the community phase is the most still in development part of this game. It's almost like a resource management mini game between PC, traditional RPG style, like exploration with your characters. You zoom out, you come back to your community, you rest, you recover, you do some projects. But there's going to be factions. You're not the only community. And like, what does that mean about other communities? What do these other communities look like? Why did they band together in a certain way? And, you know, it's funny living in New England, godless New England, as, you know, like everyone thinks of us, right? Places like Texas would be really interesting, right? Because like churches would band together, right? Like, and that would be a really interesting faction to explore, right? Like you could play off of those people's faith. Maybe, you know, not to say that in like a, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to, you know,
not cynical, but
yeah, but you could, you know, in a way like that, maybe that's how you parlay or trade with these people, right? And there's going to be other groups that are just like, there's no more laws, anarchy, you know what I mean? Like crazy, like up here, you know, I live in what's called the quiet corner of Connecticut. It's like the rural, but it's not, guys, at all. But you know, you have your people who, but you have your people who are more armed than the rest of the general population, if you will. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's going to be a group where it's just like, nope, we've been ready for this and you're not coming in here. Do you know what I mean? Unless you prove that you're worth it, right? Like, we're going to need a doctor. A doctor can come in, but like, how do you turn people away? Or like, how do you find a way to feed more mouths if people just come and you do want to band together?
Yeah. Now, again, a larger cross-section of that, but again, growing up in Central California definitely divided like that. So you have like the people in LA were definitely a group, and the people from Frisco were definitely a group. And you had the farmers and people from the Central Valley, and those were 3 or 4 groups, because you had farmers, you had students, you had business people. And then you get up to like the far northern California, and you had the people that were like, hey, this is my mountain, and stay off my mountain. And they were very much similar to like the people in the back hollers here in East Tennessee, where it was their chunk of land and they were ready to defend it. And
Yep.
they didn't think they needed anybody else because they were all, prepped and ready.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is very much a mindset that you run into a lot here. There's a very strong pig-headed independence.
And Lord knows we need those people because those people will drag us through a lot of stuff. They won't fail because they're too stubborn to fail.
Yeah, I mean, preppers are not only a valuable resource, right? And again, they might be a one person or one family faction that your comm has to occasionally deal with or whatever.
Yeah.
Or talk about a desperate, we need stuff. Let's go raid this prepper's place. And like, that's dark, but like at the same time, if your community is failing and people are dying, this is the world now. Do you know what I mean? Like nothing is easy. There's no convenience. There's no grocery stores anymore. Everything's gone bad. Gasoline doesn't work anymore. It's like, that's gone stale and is not really working. Nothing is easy. Everything needs to be earned, grown, or taken. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's how it is.
Now, with your part of Connecticut going through, like I said, so I grew up primarily in Central California. I spent a lot of time, I have family in Central Jersey as well, so a little bit closer to where you're at. But I remember like going to school and like daycare camps for the summer in Central Jersey, and they would have areas that were quote, quote, still fallout shelters. And then once you got out of the more urban areas, there were a lot of suburban homes that had the old fallout shelters like in their backyard type thing that people had, food and generators and stuff, stashed away.
Yeah, talk about a gold mine if you were to find one of those, right?
Yeah.
They exist around here. I actually used to work in a state park that has like a bunker,
Okay.
which is pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean, again, too, it's one of those things where who got there first? Right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. One of the houses that I've been doing some work at recently, it was built in 1948 and it has a fallout shelter in the basement.
Crazy.
That's awesome.
It has been opened up. They took the big door off of it and everything, but because all of the electrical panels and stuff are back in the back where this room was, but it had its own separate bathroom. It had its own separate water heater and filtration system. It had an air scrubber at one point that got taken out because it hadn't worked for the last 40 years. But yeah, they had a full-on fallout shelter in the bottom. The original owner of the house was a doctor in the area, and so he threw all of the money that he needed to to build this house to his specs.
Right, building it in the 40s and 50s, right? It's like post World War II. We just dropped a bomb. We don't want it to come our way, and the Cold War and all that. Yeah. What was that? What was that movie with Brendan Fraser, Christopher Walken? You know what I'm talking about?
Blast from the Past.
They lived in a bunker, right?
Yeah.
There'd probably be a few families like that in a situation like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, your desire with your game for people to play off of a map of like their hometown or the area around, their local area, and use that as the basis for building the game world.
Yeah.
So is that something that you came up with on your own? Where did you get your inspiration for that particular thing? I ask because I also have that in my game.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
So I got mine from way long ago. I used to listen to a podcast that is now defunct called Thursday Nights. And in their second season, I believe it was either second or third season, they did a Dresden Files RPG game.
Ooh.
And their first session was them sitting down and using, because they were all based out of San Francisco. And so they sat down and built their game world off of San Francisco. And I was like, that is such a cool idea. And so I went and incorporated it into my game. And I was just wondering where you got your inspiration from.
Yeah. Well, one, I look at maps a lot all day, every day in my day job.
Yeah.
But also, there's a few games that have done this. I've played Kids on Bikes with my friends a few times, like my home group. And for some reason, we always build a fictional 80s town or whatever. And one day I was like, oh, let's make New England. And they were like, nah. And I was thinking to myself, like, okay. But the basis of this game being so rooted in the real world, I thought to myself, I looked into like other games. I know Vampire the Masquerade. I think a good amount of the what is it, World of Darkness? I've never played any of
Yeah.
them, but those are very well known for like their Chicago by night, LA by night, Pittsburgh by night, whatever it is. But that's all about like vampire covens. That's not, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's a very different feel. And I thought to myself, I could do what Tales from the Loop did, which is like show you a map of Sweden and a map of Colorado, and those are your two places to play. And it's like, I don't know either of those places personally. That would make that very difficult for me to play. Why can't I just put a loop in Boston, right? Like, I don't know, you know? So one, it's part to James's credit, make people start thinking forward about this, like put it in their minds to say, like, start looking at the world around you differently if you're up for that. And also there's a familiarity aspect of it, right? Where one, it's fun to pull out a road map atlas and sit around with your friends before you start playing this game and go like, well, okay, well, like what got destroyed, or like what's interesting here, and like, you know, like mark up a map and be like, oh, like this place would be really cool to go to or whatever, or like this place I don't want to explore there, like I don't like that, like let's just say something terrible happened here, but you know this place a little bit, like it's easier for you to just start being in it. Do you know what I mean? Like inhabiting it. And
Yeah,
also,
like-
I feel like it can make a really cool online community of people sharing maps of their region, like with their home, and explaining things that have happened. And then if for whatever reason, another group is like, oh, we're like, you know, 150 miles away, you know, maybe we make a road trip. You know what I mean? Like, and like
Yeah.
you have a map ready to go. I don't know. It just inspires others and stuff. It's like a
I
living
like
world.
that. I think this could actually be really interesting too if you had an active community of different groups playing, or even like you had several groups in the same town. This could really
Ooh.
branch into like LARP real easy, because you have the same maps, and then you could set up, well, here's these resources here. You'd have your game master that would have things stashed away or whatever. So you'd have your different groups in different parts of your town, and your actual groups, maybe they do have to ride on bikes. Maybe you do a kids on bikes theme, so they all have to ride like traditional bikes to transport and get around and stuff. And I could see this branching to something like LARP real easy, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah, bicycles actually huge.
Yeah.
Like honestly, because cars are only going to be good for a few months. You know, like gasoline does not last long, even with stabilizer and all this stuff. And plus, in those first couple months, people are just going to be burning it like their life depends on it, right? Like because it does, it literally does. And yeah, I didn't think about this, but like it'd be really funny for a GM of this game to like geocache stuff all around and just be like, hey,
Yeah.
players, go find this thing. That's the next session.
Yeah.
Like once one of you goes and gets it and brings it back, we're going to show up here. If one of you has found it, like your character gets XYZ or whatever, or like tell me what you found there, and then we can play that.
Yeah.
That's
That
kind of fun.
sounds so much fun. Yeah, I would totally be in for that.
Yeah. So, Rainey, we're here talking about, you know, post-catastrophe, post-apocalypse. What, in your opinion, makes a good post-apocalyptic setting, a good post-catastrophe setting? What are the elements that you feel are necessary for a good, believable post-apocalypse setting?
Yeah. I'll give a very me answer.
Okay.
And then I'll give maybe a more broadly applicable one. The very me answer is ecology. I really can tell when somebody has, I don't want to sound lame here, but like done their homework or like cared enough to think a few layers deep about how the world would change. Not just people, right? Like I think a lot of times, especially in media and shows and movies and stuff like that, the story is about the people and what they're going through, and that's fine, right? But in a TTRPG, we play a lot longer and deal with a lot more. You know, a character gets distracted by a door for 15 minutes, right? Like, or like you describe one detail of the broken down highway and all of a sudden they think it's a clue. But really, in a game like this, how the world has changed without people doing what we do every single day, right? Like how wildlife behaviors are changing, how water quality is going to be affected, how all of these things. And I mean, again, we only said it 6 months in the future, so not even a full year's worth of seasons or what have you. But not just how the world is going to start changing, but how people start changing how they interact with the world every day, right? People who think about that, again, we talked about no more convenience, right? There's no supermarket trips. So like there's going to be one person in your comm who's literally just like going to get blueberries, you know what I mean? Bring them back and hope to start a bunch of blueberry bushes, or like little things like that, like finding out what foods can we eat, can we forage, when do these mushrooms grow, can we eat them, etc. Right? Things you haven't thought about ever, probably.
Absolutely. You need to read Earth Abides. Absolutely.
Yeah.
They have
So-
whole sections where like they visit a car from like when everything kind of just ends, and then they go through and like, hey, it's a brand new car, and then they come back and visit it, how like the rust is like slowly like growing on the bridge and the vehicles. And they have a whole little section where they talk about how everyone has their pets and their purebred animals, and all the killed pets, they all perish because they're locked in or they couldn't survive in nature. And then how like all the mongrel dogs form like these packs of wild dogs that raid the street, and how there's a huge vermin explosion and they eat all of the cardboard and cellulose out of the store. You absolutely you will enjoy Earth Abides.
I do have an old lady NPC that's just like is going to be in any game of this I ever run, and she just has adopted every little dog you can imagine, and they make good ratters, right? Like they make good little, which is really funny. It's not the most glorious way of living, but like just a funny, I'm not letting these die for no reason kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I love that character.
Yeah, James, that reminds me of The Parable of the Talents and The Parable of the Sower by Octavia
those
Butler.
Are so good. Those are so good.
Yeah, I read those last year, and similar sort of themes.
Mm-hmm,
a little more prescient of our current political status, and I will leave it at that.
Wild,
I know,
right? Like written in like 91, 92, and I read it like a couple of years ago, and I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say that makes a good post-apocalyptic or post-catastrophe setting is the humanity, though, right? Like people have changed in a way that is uncomfortable, I think, to portray, but at the same time needs to be done with the gravitas and like respect it deserves. Like any TTRPG table, it's going to devolve into silly jokes and stuff like that. But at the same time, I don't want to make a blanket statement, but I do think people are inherently good. There's going to be people who in those first few months are going to do terrible, unforgivable things to survive.
Yeah, absolutely.
But get past all that, and the population has dwindled. Starvation has done its part. Survivors have at least found some stable source of food or something like that. In the end, people will band together to be like, I can't do this alone.
Yeah, because people are people. Yeah, no.
People are people. We are a social species.
Yeah, and you were talking about there's no more grocery store runs and what have you. And I think that a large part of the setting is also dependent on what time of year did the catastrophe happen.
Ooh, yes.
Because,
very true, especially where you live, right? Like,
yeah, for example, you being up in New England, if the power went out like on October 1st,
pretty screwed.
You would have a whole lot more casualties than if the power went out on April 1st.
Absolutely. Yeah, we don't even have the ability to start planting anything. You're not going to harvest anything for the whole winter, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and especially considering the fact that food production has become so delocalized.
Yeah.
You don't have communities creating all of the food that they consume. It is all grown on factory farms. You've got the chicken farms down in South Carolina and the corn out in Indiana and Nebraska and, wheat all up and down the Midwest. And, these are all food things that we have come to rely on, but which we do not have ready access to, most of us.
Yeah, that's a fun, again, I just joked about how we should give this the severity, like the serious tone that it deserves. But at the same time, a joke here, Monsanto is a faction coming for those seeds, dude. Like you cannot use our seeds. Those are ours.
Yeah. No, honestly, I could see a corporation like Monsanto trying to pull something like that too.
Yeah, like even in this desperate of times, somebody's like, the power's coming back and I'm protecting my investments.
Yeah. I have this contract that nobody's going to care about now, but I've got it on paper. It's all mine now.
Right. Monsanto is going to be the one that's going to build the factory farm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And is going to have the dormitories on the factory farm for the people who are going to work the fields to live in.
Oh.
And you only get to stay if you are capable of working the field.
That is
I'm just
so good.
Forced labor is going to be a bleak thing that would happen. Absolutely.
Oh, that is so good. Yeah.
Going back to talking about Octavia Butler, because that was one of the things that was happening in those books.
Yep. Again, in New England, we don't have a lot of agricultural land. Surprise, surprise. But
it is not very suitable
No.
for large scale agriculture.
nope.
Can
No.
you lick the tree?
Yeah, we got maple syrup. You guys need some maple syrup?
Yeah, but we have to wait until February.
Right.
If we can hold out till February, we can have maple syrup.
Yeah, something completely nutritionally useless, just sugar,
Yeah. So we're getting close to where we're going to be wrapping up the interview portion here. I had one last question off of our prepared stuff that I did want to bring up here. So do you feel, and you can do this as in your game or in, games falling under this genre in general, do you feel like there is more focus on an attempt to recover and rebuild the old world, or a focus on sweeping away the remnants of the old world and building something new?
Personally?
And do you feel like that goal is strongly affected by the system that you use to play the game?
Yeah. Okay. So that's a very good point. We haven't even talked about the system at all, like the actual mechanics, which I think are pretty interesting. And I'll go into that very briefly because I know we're wrapping up the interview portion of this. But personally, I think that if this kind of thing were to happen, I don't know that there is ever a world where we recover what we had. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I don't think in no conceivable place can I imagine people in this situation going, well, yeah, but Tim's over there working on getting the internet back up. You know what I mean? Like, so it totally changes what you're doing. I think that there's certainly things that people would look back on and be like, yeah, eventually we need to do XYZ, right? Like, we need to find a fuel source, because the second we can go from hand planting all of our stuff and, harvesting like this, like, that's going to be a game changer for our community, and we can spread it far and wide. Like, that's a great goal. So I think that it's going to be a mix, right? I think, and the way that the system we're designing works is you're always going to have 2 dice and you're going to roll them against one another. Very inspired by Ironsworn. You'll have your action die and you're going to roll against a rust die, anywhere from a D4 to a D12. So you'll have various die sizes and pluses and whatnot, and you'll roll against a difficulty die determined by the GM, and the margin of difference matters. That is what the whole game is based on. It's not just did I beat it or did I lose. It's how much did I beat it by or how much did I lose by. You use those points to do certain things. In the rebuilding the community, the world part of the game, the community phase, it's pretty much all based on progress clocks, based on the size of a die that represents how complicated or complex a project is, right? So there might be certain things like, can we dig irrigation to make our growing season more productive? That's probably not going to be a terribly difficult one. I'd put that at like a D6. And over the course of a community phase or 2, you're going to roll and try and make enough progress, or, succeed on rolls enough that you hit a margin of 6 over time. And then you'll say, we've dug irrigation channels. Somebody's working on like, I'm going to go dig up all of those solar panels that people put out, and I'm going to try and figure out if I can create a conduit to a battery where we're going to have solar energy. That's a D12 or 2, my dude. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But but again, even just the way that the mechanics are kind of gating you from doing any kind of big picture swing back to the way things were, like, it's going to fight you the whole way, because like I said, nothing is easy anymore, right? Like, you're doing this by hand. So yeah, I think that in the end, it would become, I hope that there's hope. I don't want it to feel like a desolate game. Like, I know that some people like the dark and gritty. I want this game to feel like you're working towards a different but sustainable and some level of comfort future for your character. But, it starts as post-catastrophe. I think the feel-good ending for a campaign of a game like this would be, we've achieved the first steps of solarpunk,
Okay,
yeah.
I like it. The way you're describing that reminds me of the Carl Sagan quote, we live in a society desperately dependent on science and technology in which hardly anyone understands science or technology.
So true. I'm 100% lifting that quote for the book somewhere. Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
That's Carl Sagan, so you just make sure you quote him. But
yeah, will do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we've had a productive conversation today. because this is definitely a genre of game that I enjoy. This genre of fiction, I enjoy playing games that touch on these themes, and I haven't gotten a whole lot of chance to actually play a whole lot of games that touch on a lot of these themes. And so it's good to talk it through, really, because there is that sort of vicarious, I don't get to play it, but I do get to talk about it, sort of conversational element to it.
And this talk as well, let me just say, I love putting anything on the record, on recording, to be like, I'm making this thing, please hold me accountable. So like by all means, like, message me in a couple months and be like, Rainey, where's the damn quick start? And I'm gonna be like, I'm working on it, I promise, it's coming very soon.
Yeah, I want to play this game. I really want to play this game.
The quick start is like 90% written. I just am very slow and not good at layout, so I'm just working on that.
Layout sucks.
It sucks, dude, and I'm also not very good at it. So, that's like, the last hurdle.
We put together a tarot-based solo journaling game almost a year ago now, and it's been sitting on my computer because I hit a spot where I didn't like the look of the layout, and I haven't figured out how to go through and fix it.
Yeah, I know. And like the perfectionist in me, like my friend Christian all the time is like, hey dude, you're doing the thing again. Like, just like perfect is the enemy of done, my dude. Perfect is the enemy of good. Just do it,
Yeah.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. He's like, well, then you do the layout, Christian. Jeez.
Yeah. No, he is very helpful. Believe me. I just I put it on my shoulders because I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. But I promise, my goal is to have this out like in the first few months of 2026. The quick start should be out.
Q1 26.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. Okay. So now that we've gotten the interview portion completed and out of the way, one of the things that we like to do with all of our guests is play a little game that we call the Monster Mashup, where we roll some dice on our random table and create a monster on the fly based off of the prompts that we roll. So, Rainey, if you are game and have your dice ready.
I am ready.
All right. So we are going to start off with a D4 for locomotion.
Ooh, okay. Here goes. Little caltrop. I got a 4.
A 4. It swims.
Lovely. Those are the most terrifying of monsters.
And again, we do have some flexibility. We've had things that swim through the air or through wave or through different materials. So again, we are a little flexible with the determination of its swims, but definitely that is our first point of inspiration.
Okay.
All right. So next up is a D6 roll for what does it eat?
What does it eat? A 5.
A 5. Meat/carrion.
I love where this is going already.
So we're seeing something like probably like coastal or river.
I'm Team Orca all the way. Yeah. Team Orca. Not take out those billionaire boats. Let's go.
I like it.
We didn't say that it eats yachts.
It eats yachts.
All right. This is going to inform a lot of our conversation going on. Another D6 roll for size.
Okay. A 4.
A 4. It is large. So we're talking
Nessie.
8 to 15 feet.
Oh, we're in orca range.
Looking at orcas.
We're hitting orcas.
Yeah. Okay. Next up is a D8 for social organization.
Okay. If pod is on this. A 6.
A 6. Gang. 11 to 25 individuals.
Heck yeah,
or
dude.
pod.
Yeah, or you could call it a pod. No.
It'd be a larger pod, but it's still
actually isn't what's the name of the My Hero Academia? The Gang Orca is literally a hero in that manga, in that anime. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Okay, this one's going to inform a lot. A D10 for native environment.
Okay. Oh my gosh, rolling crazy. A 9.
Oh, I was looking at the list and I'm like, he better roll a 9.
No.
Swamps/bogs/marshes.
Oh, yes. Okay. This does change a lot. Ooh. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine 11 to like 15 10-foot long carnivorous swimming monsters. Okay, we're no longer in the orca joke. This is going to get gnarly.
This
fast.
is gators.
Yeah, these are gators, or like almost
Yeah.
like a hydra, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It is definitely feeling a little more reptilian at the moment.
Yes.
But it could be mammalian.
I'm tempted to go like real out of left field here because like swamps, marshes, bogs, like very different wetlands, but that's just me being nitpicky because I'm a wetland biologist. But like for some reason my mind went to bog, and like bogs are typically like there's not a lot of animals that are going to use a bog. It's very acidic, but I kind of love the idea of like something almost like soil based, right? Like
yeah.
It's, anyway, well let's see what
Now,
is there more to roll?
Bogs are acidic and fens are basic. Is that correct?
What's that? Bogs are acidic, fens are basic. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, with regards to bogs being acidic, I can absolutely see this as being, because we said meat or carrion as their preferred food stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Going sort of a black dragon route of they kill the thing, they drag it into the bog and let the bog pickle it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it preserves
before they
preserves them, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Preserved bog bodies. You ever see that? Like the
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are gnarly. They have their own preservation refrigeration, better than a lot of people are going to do in my game.
I'm thinking something too, again, kind of going with orca, but going more mammalian. If you had like a bog otter, something that was mischievous but intelligent enough to be
giant
malevolent.
carnivorous bog otters.
I don't know. I'm more inclined towards muskrat.
Yeah.
Otters are a little too playful for me. I need something a little more feral.
Fair. I'm just thinking with that kind of intelligence level, but
right.
Bog ferrets.
Yeah. Well,
bog
muskrats
weasels.
are in the same same
Mustelids.
family. Yeah. Okay. Continuing on, next is a D12 for method of defense.
A 5.
A 5. Okay. This is playing into our ferret family here. Burning chemical farts / spray a la stink bugs or skunks.
Ooh, okay. Makes sense for a bog too, right?
Yeah. Maybe they use that to like paralyze or knock out attackers and or victims, and they can just drag them into the bog. So they drown them and then let the bog pickle them.
Oh, I love the idea of like a paralyzing like mist or something like that, right? Like some kind of like spray.
Yeah.
Oh, how terrifying too, of being like paralyzed, conscious, aware of what's going on as you're just being dragged into a bog.
We do make nightmare fuel on this thing quite frequently.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we do.
This is an apex predator in a very niche biome. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. So this is where we could undo everything that we've done or come up with something really, really clever. I need another D12 roll for creature type. And this is going off of D&D creature types. Like
Gotcha.
Overarching, creature super types, I guess.
Okay. I got a 1 on that D12.
This fits with it living in a bog because 1 is aberration.
Oh, which in D&D terms is what, like created by magic, right? Aberrations most of the time?
That would be things like aboleths and beholders and flumps.
Like,
mind flayers.
Right? Like, yeah. So like twisted abominations of like magic and the material world. So this is even great, right? These are not natural bog creatures. Maybe they were something small like a muskrat that, due to some ley line magic or some shenanigans, have grown. They are rats of unusual size. Is that what are they called? And
yes,
I think this is going to be one of those things like introducing rats to islands in the Pacific.
Oh gosh, just completely destroys the whole ecosystem.
It got introduced to the environment, and nothing in the environment would predate on it.
Yep.
Okay, so hold with me here. The base creature was a capybara.
Love this.
And they've made it intelligent, mean, and insidious.
Okay, just to make this a little more applicable too, right? Where like I kind of like this. Because they're big and they travel in packs of 11 to 20 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Right.
What if they are like this pseudo-amphibious giant capybara that it doesn't matter what wetland type they find or any kind of water source they find. They're so big, they just like a croc, hover just below the surface, and like their backs are like mossy and look like bogs, right?
Okay.
And they change the water quality to make it that like preservation acidic kind of thing and lure people in, fart paralyze them. But that way they're not geographically isolated to like a bog, right? Like these are like they themselves are the moving, quaking bogs, their backs, and like
I
they
like
just
it.
kind of like huddle together,
Yeah.
Going with that paralytic thing, their flatulence could just be that hydrogen sulfide swamp gas.
Yes, exactly.
And so
That's
you
how
like
they
as you're
change
going
it.
in, you're getting this miasma about them because they are changing their environment.
Oh, and like, okay, here's your quest hook right here for your D&D campaign. Some kind of remote village, lake nearby with a river that comes out of it. And they're like, I don't know, the water quality, our water smells now. It's weird. Somebody
All
went
the
up to
fish
the
are coming
lake.
up dead.
Yeah, and we go up to the lake, and the lake doesn't even look like a lake anymore. It's turned into a bog, right? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah.
These things have moved in here. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
getting all sludgy and
Ugh.
Yeah. Mm.
Yep. Nice.
oh yeah. Okay. Next up is a D20 roll for quirks.
Another 5.
Another 5. A diamatic display has a pattern that can be displayed quickly to startle predators, often appearing as large predatory eyes.
Ooh, on their backs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that goes right with that aberration thing too.
Oh, yeah. Maybe they're so warped and twisted, right? Like their back, they can like camouflage it. Looks like a bog, but like people say got eyes on the back of their head. Their eyes, like they close their eyes underwater and eyes open on their back to make sure that they're not going to be stepped on by something they can't take down.
I like that. Also, like cuttlefish, where they can change the texture and color of their skin depending on their
Ooh.
environment, and they they do that like color flash to stun prey sometimes.
Aren't cuttlefish, or at least maybe it's jellyfish, I might be wrong on this, but luciferin, right? Like the bioluminescent protein that scientists use all the time. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Shucks. But again, I'm sure cuttlefish have a very similar protein adaptation that scientists have been trying to
I'm sure.
mess
Also,
with
this
and
is
give
a
to other
homebrew
things.
podcast, so you know what? Let's
Now it's happening.
Yeah,
We're
now
living in
we have
fantasy land. It doesn't have to follow real world biology rules.
A wizard,
we have
yeah,
bioluminescent
a wizard can just
farting capybaras.
Sorry, live in a bog.
I did say earlier I tend to go a little too many layers deep of my ecology thinking for
Yeah.
my world building.
No, it's all good. I'm seeing this, and the further we get into it, the more I want them. And feel free to override me on this, but the more I want them to be amphibians, because we don't do a lot of amphibians. We do lots of mammal adjacent stuff and lots of reptile adjacent stuff,
Oh,
but not
All
a whole
hail
lot of
Hypnotoad.
yeah. Because
what if it's
like salamander, like
oh,
like
I love a good salamander.
like
Yeah.
like the gulpers from the Fallout show,
Mhm.
you know.
Okay, I have to. If we're going amphibian, I need to change the flatulence a bit. I do like the stunning ability, but frogs, they have that glue that they use to attach to mate, and then when they have the egg sacs, they've got that gel. What if they're spraying that gel? And so like you're getting that sticky, goopy like glue, it limits your movement, it still paralyzes you, and then they can drag you into the bog.
Right, and they're like the poison tree frogs, where it is a neurotoxin on that they secrete from their skin.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
And that's the paralytic agent is, you're going through, you don't notice that you're about to step on them because they're so well camouflaged. And you come into contact with them, and it's, skin to skin contact transmits this neurotoxin, and you just get paralyzed, and you burn down, fall over, and then sink into the swamp.
They can even do the frog thing, right? Where like they like inhale and have that big bubble on their neck, and then just kind of like do like a burp, and it just comes up. And I also love the egg masses. That's such a fun idea, right? Where like it's almost like that's another way that they preserve things, right? Like once they pull you down, they pull you into that jelly. Free,
and
free
what if
preservation.
they use the people to lay their eggs, kind of like the aliens here, where they make that stuff? But yeah, they're actually using the victim as a
very
host.
Very tadpole idea. Yeah.
One of my favorite things in the spring is to find vernal pools and go like literally like hold those egg masses. They're so interesting.
Yeah,
it's so fun,
and they get huge.
They can be very large depending on where you find them, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
In temperament, I'm thinking something like hyper aggressive and invasive, like a cane toad.
Yeah. That's why they're in like these big pod groups, but because
Yeah.
they've grown so large, they can't really gangs. Oh, we called them gangs. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
they're gangs of these like amphibians. But
Yeah.
because they're so large, I think that like there's a fair amount of like tadpole like just die off, right? Or like
Yeah.
maybe it's even like a, that they they can't afford to keep this many alive to draw this many people in kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I would absolutely see them, they are also going to prey on their own young.
For
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
And the few that survive to get big enough to where they are no longer bite sized are the ones that survive.
Yep, absolutely.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. So now it's time to make it weird.
Now we're making it weird.
Now?
Yes,
Yeah.
now we're making it weird. So, Rainey, can I get a D100 roll, please?
My pleasure, as I just threw my percentile die. Here it is. How's an 83 hit you?
83.
A bad Call of Cthulhu roll, but maybe a good
Yes.
weird animal roll.
Oh, this is perfect. Never dies of old age. It just keeps getting bigger.
Oh.
We love these.
Yeah. There is the original toad or whatever this is going to be.
The matriarch.
That is just a massive like bog in the middle of like a mountain.
What are the giant?
Right.
What is it? The lion turtles? It's the turtles that everybody confuses for islands.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The dragon turtles?
Yeah. No, is it a dragon turtle? I don't think it's a dragon turtle. It might be.
Are you talking about the
Discworld?
the turtle from Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Yeah, there's that, but it's in other media as well. But yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Just
Yeah.
island turtles for sure.
Yeah.
It's just a bog toad version.
Yeah, bog toad version of that. Yeah.
Doom Island.
Yeah, and then you get the fun OSR zine dungeon crawl, which is like that Zelda Ocarina of Time dungeon where you go into the toad. You gotta go.
Yes.
The dungeon is inside the toad.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember them covering that one on Between Two Cairns forever ago.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's perfect. It fits
Okay.
right into the weird vibes.
Oh, yeah. All right, James, do you want to roll the second one or do you want me to roll the second one?
I'll let you roll this one.
All right. So for the second one, we've got 65, which is speaks an omen of good when it dies a natural death and an omen of doom when it dies a violent death.
There's only one of those.
Yeah.
Considering that it never dies of old age.
Doom toads. Oh, I love
Hey,
it.
we have a name.
Yeah,
we
there
have
we
a
go,
name.
yeah.
Nice.
Doom toads, yeah, we can, because that is the ultimate question at the end of all this is what do we name it?
Oh, sorry. Getting ahead of
No, that's
We got
great.
one more weird quirk
naming
to
things
do.
is always the challenge.
I agree. Names are hard. As evidenced by my podcast, Rene Plays Games. Really clever stuff,
All right. So to recap, it swims, it eats meat/carrion, it is large in size, they are organized in gangs of 11 to 25 individuals, their native habitat, I think we have firmly settled on bogs.
Mm-hmm.
On this one. Their method of defense is burning chemical fart/spray, which I think we have reworked into a contact-based neurotoxin.
Yeah.
And also whatever gloop they're secreting into the water. They are an aberration creature type. They have a diamatic display. So I don't think we settled on what that was.
Eyes on their back, right?
Yeah, the part of their camouflaging and yeah.
It's just that we were still mammalian at that point, and I wasn't sure if we had resolved that, if we wanted to shift it or if we wanted to leave it as it was. I'm fine with leaving it as it is, but...
Yeah, I think it fits actually even better for the Doom Toad.
Yeah. So it never dies of old age, it just keeps getting bigger, and it speaks an omen of good on a natural death and an omen of doom if it dies a violent death. Okay, and I think you got it in one, Rainey, with what we're going to call it. I think we're calling them Doom Toads.
I love it.
Yeah, I like these a lot. These are mildly terrifying. They're kind of cool. I could think of a few, actually, you know what, and it would work too, where we said, they are so destructive to the environment. If somehow you could shift the environment back so it wouldn't support them, that necessarily
Ooh.
wouldn't be a terrible omen that, hey, you're properly terraforming or fixing the ecology to drive these things off.
Yeah, and just because they don't die of old age doesn't mean that they don't die of, disease.
Yeah, or starvation, or any other number of things. The starvation would be more difficult. Honestly, though, there'd only be one left, probably. Again, not a terrible omen. I am the last croak.
And I think that if they eat one another, that no omen happens. I think.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's as close to a natural death as they're going to get. Yeah.
Yeah. If something ends up getting eaten head last, they might croak out an omen on the way down, but
if a doomed toad croaks an omen and no one's there to hear, right?
I think the omen would end up going into the belly and no one would hear it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was a lot of fun.
That was.
All right, so to wrap things up, Rainey, we're going to go ahead and give you the floor to promote yourself, to promote your show, to promote whatever it is that you want to talk about. So go right on ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you. If you want to hear me play solo games or talk to people or anything like this, Ian, you're going to be coming on my show soon, right? So you'll be able to hear more of Ian on my show and all that. You can find me online, social medias, everything under Rene Plays Games. And please do reach out to me and be like, hey, put out those games, poke me, tell me, yell at me, and come nerd out.
Well, thank you so very much for coming and joining us tonight. We had some audio hiccups at the very beginning when we were trying to settle everything out, and I'm glad that we were able to get it all worked out and get our chat done tonight.
Yes, me too. Sorry for that. Yeah. Sorry for those hiccups.
It's all good. That's why we show up ahead of time for sound check, so that we can get all that stuff figured out. It's like when we were doing the live stream, the part 3 of our game for Clark.
Oh yeah.
We ended up doing the first 15 minutes of the stream silent because it was only doing his audio.
Oh.
The rest of our audio was going through on the stream. It was only his audio, and he had to fiddle with some settings because he had it split up to where we were each on our own individual audio track, but OBS was only grabbing the first track, which was his, to broadcast. So yeah. Anyway, tangents. We do tangents here.
Yeah.
In case you haven't noticed. So thank you everyone for listening. If you have any comments, suggestions, or ideas, please send us an email, undercommontaste@gmail.com, or come and join us on our Discord. You can find a link to the Discord as well as our itch store, undercommontaste.itch.io, and our Patreon, patreon.com/undercommontaste, through our website, undercommontaste.com.
This is your first time listening. We're so happy you found us. We invite you to join us for our other podcast as well. You can join us with our current Dragon arc, where we're talking about dragons within D&D, or maybe you want to hear some of our other guest interviews. Either way, you can look us up on the podcatcher of your choice. Search Under Common Taste.
So stay safe, everyone, and we will see you all again in 2 weeks.
Happy gaming.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Under Common Taste. Our theme song is Massacre Anne, written and performed by Mary Kroll and used with permission. You can find Mary online at marykroll.bandcamp.com or on Patreon at patreon.com/Dr. Mary C. Kroll. Our logo is by David Sutherland. You can find more of David's work on deviantart.com/David Sutherland or on instagram.com/Willex_73. We'll be back in 2 weeks, so stay safe, and we'll see you then.